I am so glad you are here. It's the Wednesday Live, and I am excited. The last one I think I'll be alone for quite a while because I've got a bunch of cool guests booked, including one of our readers will be coming in next week, and that's Ravenwolf. Ravenwolf is delightful, a very popular and wonderful reader here, and Ravenwolf is doing readings for part days, 3 days a week. And I will get into that reader schedule in a minute, but he's always fascinating to speak with. He's got a huge background in religious thought and thinking. It's totally worth coming and getting a reading from him, but definitely tune in next week for that interview. We will be having a good time and probably talking about the class that he'll be doing soon, which should be a lot of fun as well. I've also got Tony Rella scheduled, or is it Rhea? I'm really not sure. I'll find out. But Anthony, Rella, will be doing an interview long distance at the end of the month. Now, he has a new book coming out called Slow Magic, and I am fascinated by what I've read about it so far because I love that idea of taking your time to do magic and expecting to repeat the magical exercise, the thing you're doing, more than once. Like, we're going to do it every day, we're going to layer on and reinforce and strengthen that magical working and you reaching that goal. I think that's an amazing approach to magic. It's one I've used that I've enjoyed very much. So I definitely am looking forward to talking with Anthony about it later on this month. For other things that are coming up here physically in the shop, next Sunday is Nancy Antonucci's Tarot Lab. That is always really popular. If you want to come and just check out the event, it's highly worth it. It usually starts at about 3:30. I recommend getting here just a little early. Not only will it give you some time to shop, but you want to make sure you get a seat. And this class tends to be very, very full. There can be over 20 people in the room easily, and I pack the room with the tables and chairs that you all need for this class because you're going to play with a tarot deck in the class. You'll do a few different tarot exercises that Nancy will lead you through. This is a by donation class, so people come and they donate by the end of class what they can, and that covers the cost for the class, for the space, for her time, and all of those wonderful things. So I strongly encourage it. It's a fabulous class. In the same vein, on the last Sunday of the month, which is the 26th, will be the palmistry class. That is a wonderful class. It's actually a series of classes, but like the Tarot Lab by Nancy Antonucci, the Palmistry 101 series is a by donation class. You don't need to take the classes in any particular order, but Chris Stock, just to give you his whole name, Chris is a wonderful palm reader. You'll definitely wind up getting your palm at least partially read for the class. You can't help but not. So it's a great way to introduce yourself to palmistry. Both of these classes, both Nancy's Tarot Lab and Chris's Palmistry 101 class, they really are designed for somebody who knows nothing about the subject to come in and glean a little bit of knowledge and get a little practice using these arts. For the Tarot Lab, you don't even need a deck because she has spares and she can lend you one while you're there for the class. And of course, you probably have at least one palm. So you come equipped for the Palmistry 101 series, no problem. That's what's coming up in the next couple of Sundays, the next several Sundays. We've also got Reiki 2 class coming up on the 12th, right before the Tarot Lab, right before Nancy's class. And if you're not ready for Reiki 1, but you are interested in if you're not ready for Reiki 2, but you are interested in Reiki, the Reiki 1 class is on Sunday the 19th at noon. So it's the following Sunday, the one right in the middle. So we have Reiki 2 and Tarot Lab this coming Sunday. We have Reiki 1 the following Sunday, and we have a Reiki Share and Palmistry 101 on the last Sunday of the month. It should be fun. Of course, I'll be teaching Herbalism 2 tonight, and I taught Herbalism 3 last night. Those are part of the 3-year-long series that you can sign up for here every fall. It's $875 for the entire class. It either meets all day once a month, or it meets every evening, one night a week for 1 to 2 hours, depending on the subject we're covering that day. It is $875 for the whole thing plus tax, but we are happy to break that out into payments beginning at any time, but the payments are all due before the first class starts in September. So if you're interested, come and sign up as soon as you can so that you can, especially if you need to break the payments up, you can get it all separated out ahead of time. And that's the easiest way to finance it if you need that extra time to get that in. Let's see, what else are we doing? Oh, the Standing Stones are in this Saturday, the 11th, and the following Saturday, the 18th, and the last Saturday in January, the 25th. That is another free event. It's open to the public. It is their sort of pre-initiate training classes. So you don't make any obligation or promise to join their group by attending, but it definitely gives you one particular pagan group's perspective on a lot of different subjects. None of the classes need to be taken in order. You don't have to attend every single one, which is good because frankly, the series started in November. But for January 11th, they'll be covering 2 of the 4 elements commonly used in paganism and Wiccan and witchcraft practices. This time they covered earth and air in December. This time they're going to be going over fire and water. Should be a fascinating discussion. And I'm hearing rave reviews about the latest teachers. People are very happy with where they're taking the group, and that each of the teachers really has their own perspective that they're happy to share with everybody. On the 18th, they'll be talking about centering and grounding, important topics to cover, honestly. And if you're not familiar with them, I totally recommend you come into that event. It'll be a good one. And then on the 25th, they'll be doing chakras and the energetic body, which is cool because we're going to get in a little chakra healing set soon. So I'm excited for that. And it'll tie in perfectly with that class on the 25th. Now, just to give you an idea, they're going to be talking, this series runs through June 14th, and it is most but not all Saturdays because there's a year 1 herbalism is running on the first Saturday of the month, and it starts before we even open and goes almost totally close. So it's all day long. So they can't have the room for that. But they'll be talking about shielding and the tools that are used in the craft, the basics of ritual, ethics, meditation, various forms of divination, sacred nudity, sacred sexuality. That's a topic as well. Dedication, initiation, what it is to be a member of a coven from their perspective, and more. There is so much more on this list. But every Saturday for the rest of the month, they'll be here. They'll be teaching that class. That one always starts at noon, and it is always completely free. You are, of course, welcome to make a donation to the store to help cover the cost of the space. But for us, the policy has always been, if your event is both free and open to the public, if we can fit it in our schedule, we don't charge you for that space. Which is why we love those by donation classes. It's a lovely surprise at the end of class when the teacher shares a portion of the donation with the store to help cover the costs for the room. On the other hand, if it's a completely free class, my honest suggestion is pick something up while you're here, a pack of incense, a book you've been wanting, something like that. That helps to cover the cost of the room as well. That's a wonderful way of contributing to the event and helping to support the space and the teachers. That said, that's most of our schedule for the rest of this month. I am very excited by it. I want to talk about our wonderful readers. I mentioned Ravenwolf, who will be here next week to be interviewed, and it'll be, I'm sure, a fascinating discussion because it always is. Ravenwolf has been doing the Reiki training, and he and his fellow student for Reiki 1, we spent almost the whole day. It was an incredible set of discussions, and it really was because of the students involved. They were amazing. I've had great students in the past. I love all my Reiki students, but these guys were able to take the discussion in interesting directions that I had not seen it go before. So that was fun. It's happened before, but this is the recent one. But Ravenwolf is reading with us on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Saturdays. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays, he's here from 3 until 6, so just the latter part of the day for us. And on Saturdays, Ravenwolf is here from noon until 2, unless there's something going on that Ravenwolf wants to attend, at which point you can usually get a reading after 2. That said, on Fridays, we have Winter from 1 until 5. And Winter is a wonderful reader who will be here for Alive in February to talk about their readings and how they do their work. Really popular, starting to gain a following. Love the readings. Paul does dream interpretation on Mondays from 2 to 6. And I am so happy to announce, and I'm sure I've announced it before, but just in case you didn't see or don't know, Tracy is back. She's recovered from her surgeries. She is back doing tarot readings on Sundays and Thursdays, and she's here the whole day from noon until 6. Definitely our most popular reader. If you haven't gotten a reading from her, I do recommend checking her out. But they're all amazing. The way people walk away from Paul's dream interpretations, just completely blown over by the insights and his ability to kind of cut to the chase about what a dream might really mean for the person, and to really have that conversation with somebody who understands dream interpretation from really good perspectives. Fascinating. And any of the rest of these readers do amazing work. Ravenwolf, Winter, Tracy, they're all fantastic. And Tracy also offers a Theban rune reading that is from a system that she developed herself. And I say that because there is a book out there called Theban Oracle, which we carry. Fascinating book, love the book, but Tracy developed her method, and then the book came out, and then she compared notes, and it's not the same system. So if you love the beautiful Theban script, like I do, I just think it's the prettiest magical script out there, really. This is a fun read. She's got the Theban letters, the letters of that Theban alphabet, each on an individual stone. There's a light side and a dark side. It's just fantastically set up. The readings are wonderful. Highly recommend them. All the readings here are $2.50 a minute plus tax. And of course, we'll ask if you want to leave the reader a tip as well, which will get to them usually shortly after you leave if I'm the one on the floor, just because I don't want to have to remember. But do come on in. They're all first come, first serve. Usually you don't have to wait very long, if at all. Occasionally, though, I will admit, you'll find, particularly Tracy might be doing an hour-long reading. So just be aware you may have time to shop while you're while you're waiting for your reading, or while you're waiting for your friend just to do their reading. Even if they can get in immediately, you might be shopping a little while. They also make great gifts, and of course it's January, so it's a great time to get a reading to give you a perspective on what the whole year to come might be bringing. What will the best and worst months of 2025 be for you? A reading can help you figure it out. Not only help you figure it out, but help you figure out why it might not be your best month, and therefore what you can do about it. It can help you generate the solutions you might need for unexpected things that crop up, or help you generate solutions for a situation you're in right now. So come in, get something that lets you know what might be coming up generally for you. Come in, get some ideas and suggestions that the cards and the reader can give you about what you're facing right now. Those are two fantastic reasons to come and get a reading here. I will say our readers do not lead you on particularly. They don't ask a lot of leading questions. I know I don't. I will often, when I am giving a reading, on the rare occasion it happens here, that I will say, I don't know if the situation is, for example, there's a lot of pentacles. I don't know if your situation is about spirituality, if it's about money, but I'm looking at this and I'm seeing a lot of that kind of energy coming in. Whichever way it applies, please use the information well. And inevitably the person goes, yep, I know exactly what that's about. And that's the kind of reading you want when you get a reading. You want the reader to tell you what the cards are saying and what their intuition is telling them. You don't want them kind of digging for a lot of information from you. That's the difference in my mind between a good reader and a not so good reader. I would also add that they're not going to pitch you on buying a bunch of stuff here. Some of them will absolutely, if you ask for their recommendation for something, make recommendations. I've even seen some of them take their clients to the products that they've talked about with them. They'll absolutely give you that kind of help to the extent that they can if you ask, but it's not their job. Oh, somebody decided I needed to be called right now. Let's give them a quick text. And while they'll help you with stuff, the staff that are not doing readings are also always here to help you with find those items, get those kinds of product questions answered. And we're very happy to do that. That's our job. The readers, oh my, everyone's calling me. Ooh. Well, I don't know how long that's going to go, but we're getting a little musical accompaniment for a moment. Deaden the noise a little by sitting on it. So come in, grab a reading when you can. They're delightful. All of our teachers, equally wonderful. Come and get a class when you can. We do have some fun things at the shop and a bunch of stuff on its way. While we look pretty lush on the Fred Souls front, so if you like your Fred Souls incense, I think we're just out of 2 right now. Nonetheless, I do have a whole nother order coming in. That was getting processed yesterday and should probably be here by about Monday, give or take. So if you need the cedar, for example, that's one of the 2 that I know. I can remember that one's out. That'll be here probably Monday at some point on the shelves, easily. But I also wanted to point out that I still have a couple copies left of the Witch's Ally that was signed by the author, Dodie McKay. She is a delightful human to work with, but she signed a few copies for us when we invited her to do book signings at our booth at the Sowen Symposium. She was great to talk with. She was great to sit with. And really enjoy the book because she really does go at the idea of familiars, from pets to spirit familiars, ancestors. It's all kind of in here and really gives you different approaches, different options for so you can find what vibes for you. You can figure out what makes sense in your universe. And I love that about this book. She's wonderful though, seriously. I will also point out that we've got some books here from the currently Wisconsin-based author, Jason Mankey. Transformative Witchcraft is a fantastic book on the way that magic, rites, rituals, witchcraft in general can bring about life-changing experiences. And I know for me, that was certainly the case, and it still is on occasion, but particularly with like my initiations and elevations and all of that stuff, change really does happen. And that happens no matter what system you're using, because I also went through the Reiki initiations at first, second, and third. And similarly, there are changes that occur, not just in who you are, because you gain a new perspective and a new level of knowledge in something you've been studying, but also it just seems like the universe reacts as well. And you're suddenly transformed. The world around you is transformed by your going through that transformative ritual or change to your life. It's wonderful. It's also got a delightful book on the god, so the horned god of the witches. If you feel like your practice has been a little goddess, great resource. Thoughtfully written, well done, total recommend. Usually gets 4 or 5 stars out of 5, no matter where you're looking at it. So definitely tune in for that one. I don't have a lot of stuff that has come in, but I did want to let you guys know I've got a ton of stuff coming in. Like I mentioned before, when I was talking about the Standing Stones and their Saturday classes and the fact that they'll have one coming up in the months in the future about the chakras and your energy work. When was that one? Let me see. Is that coming up this month? Not this month, but, oh yeah, no, this month. The last Saturday of the month is going to be chakras and the energetic body. That's the title for that one. Beautiful lattice carved lid on a wooden box with an Om carved in it, with 7 gemstones, lapis, some different colors of aventurine, things along those lines, and a selenite charging wand in this gorgeous little keepsake box. Should be a lot of fun. We've got some Ultra Clouds coming back in, some singing bowls. I've had a lot of requests for the smaller singing bowls because right now the singing bowl, the one we have left in stock since the holidays, beautiful bowl, wonderful tone, has a handle on the bottom that you can grab and hold on to so you're not stuck doing that taut palm thing that you often have to do to get a singing bowl to really sing. Beautiful bowl, but it is a $600 singing bowl. It's a handmade, beautiful, finely crafted bowl. These guys are going to come in at a more affordable price. They are going to be significantly smaller. This one is like sizable, and the ones I'm getting in are very colorful, and they are in the 3 to 4 inch range. I've got two coming in. One's measured out at 3 inches, one's measured out at 4 inches, and we'll have a few of those for a while. One of them, however, was on closeout, so I'm afraid when they're gone, they're really going to be gone. It did mean I got to keep the price down, though, which I really appreciated. But there's a few other odds and ends and gems coming in. We ran clean out of Palo Santo, so I tacked on an order of Palo Santo to this order at the last minute. So we will be well stocked as soon as it's here. They have been packing that up since Monday this week, at least since Monday this week. So it's already on its way. It's already shipping here. So I'm expecting it Friday, Monday, somewhere in that neighborhood. So it's a lot of stuff. It's going to take us a minute to get it all out for you guys, but definitely come and check it out because we'll be putting it out as we can. And it's a lot of very cool stuff. Anything else? Fred Souls? Books? No, that's all the stuff I got for you. And you know about the future guests. I'm excited for all of that too. I do have an announcement to make about the store in general. As much as I love the size of this space, and as much as I've really enjoyed being able to host these great classes and all of these wonderful things, we are once again looking at moving. We've had another problem with the building that we could not control, and that was not repaired for 4 days. It started on a Saturday and did not get fixed until last night. So we're kind of broken on the building here. Everybody on staff is pretty demoralized by the building. So we are looking at moving. Hopefully we will know where we're going sometime in the next 3 months. That's my hope. And hopefully we're staying inside Minneapolis. Certainly want to stay inside Minneapolis, St. Paul. Although I have to admit, I was looking at a lovely spot over on Selby Avenue, not far from Lexington and St. Paul. Excuse me, don't know about the location, but do know that Selby and Lexington is a much nicer area than it was even 10 years ago. So I'm gonna go drive by that space probably on Thursday or Friday just to see what I think of it in person, maybe hang out for a little while in my car, see how often people walk by, how often buses go by, stuff like that. But that said, I also saw a spot in Minneapolis that looked pretty good, just didn't look handicapped accessible, which I wasn't thrilled about. I love the fact that this place is level to the sidewalk and you can just roll in whenever you want. I'm even considering purchasing. So this does mean if you see a spot you think would be great for us, by all means, email the store, go to the website and just email me. I'm the one who'll catch those emails. So let me know and I will check it out. And if it's in our budget and it's a good location for us, I'll definitely put it on the list. That said, I also have to sadly announce that Mela, who was an owner of one of the owners here for many years, has concluded the sale of her shares to a delightful couple. I'm hoping to have them come in for one of these lives soon, or at least one of them come in for one of these lives soon. One of them was a longtime employee here starting when they were in college. And I'm excited to have them back. They're good friends, love their company, love their advice. They've already, with this current crisis, been incredibly supportive and helpful. One of them is already doing research on potential locations. I've done some too, of course, but it's wonderful to have somebody who actively engages and really wants to help the business be a wonderful place for everybody to come to. So hopefully we'll knock our heads together and find something good for everybody involved. That said, I am going to keep their identities a secret for the time being. Well, hopefully, like I said, we'll have them in a few weeks, or at least one of them. It'd be great if they could both come, but this is 11 o'clock on a Wednesday. I do understand if they can't both be here for alive. And that honestly, that takes care of all the announcements. So can I get into trouble today is the next question on my mind. I was listening to a delightful YouTuber talk about pagan altars and the importance of setting up a pagan altar. And do you need more than one altar? And I, again, did not completely agree with this person, but did find the perspective fascinating. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about how many altars do you need? Why should you set them up? I do not have, I have traditionally not had a permanent altar set up anywhere in my home. I've had an altar, but I have taken it down at the end of rituals and put it up before the rituals, set everything up where I need it, how I need it, depending on what ritual we're doing that day. Almost always at night, but sometimes daytime. I do now have an altar because I'm a widow. And so I have a drawing a friend did of my deceased partner. I have a scrap of half of a fortune cookie that my son put on it. It is a small, simple table that has been covered by a blanket that my son made at a grief camp that was designed to give them the sensation of that deceased parent or grandparent, depending on the child, a hug, receiving a hug from that person. And what my son chose to do is he chose to use it to give his parent, his deceased parent, a hug by putting it over the altar. So on that is a drawing, also an artwork that I commissioned to be done of the three of us as a family by somebody, a wonderful artist who kind of does energetic painting. She adds the energy of what she's saying into the paintings. We had a really delightful sort of rainbow background to the painting because of her perception of all of us, which was really fun. And it's got a couple of other bits and bobs on there. Occasionally we've had flowers, or my mother has kindly bought a few flowers to commemorate the anniversary of my partner's death. And there's a few of those on that altar right now. So things that are significant to us, to my child and I, about that person, that third person that was part of our family. But my other altar, I take up and I take down, and I tailor it for the events. And I do have tools that I regularly use, and they usually wind up on or in the altar. And I'll be honest, that altar is an old TV stand, probably from the 1970s. I don't actually know. It's got carved legs, it's got a top, it's got a bottom, and it's on wheels, which I adore. I love the fact that it's on wheels and would highly recommend putting your altar on wheels if you can at all, because it's just easier. If we're going to, say we're doing one of our pagan rituals or open rituals that some of the people who might be interested in joining our coven attend, that altar is usually in the north of the ritual space, with just enough room for a couple of people to sit behind it, not a whole lot more room than that. But there are other rituals we do with that training group, or that we have done with that training group, where the altar winds up in the middle of things. If we're going to dance around the circle, we're going to wheel that northern altar into the middle so that we can go all the way around without tripping over things. It's handy that it's on wheels. If it's in the middle and we want to use the middle of the circle for, maybe we're going to do some spell work and we want everything centered in the middle of the circle, and we don't want to be leaning over an altar to do it, we want maybe a representative of the group in the middle, then we're going to wheel that out of the middle and off to, honestly, probably the north or south, just because of the way it's oriented for us. But it could go anywhere. So one of the complaints in that video was the idea of any flat surface becoming an altar, any and every flat surface becoming an altar. And I do see a reason to have more than one permanent altar set up. If you are working with a particular deity and you're really focused on that deity, you may want a permanent little shrine set up for that god or goddess. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And if you want to then, if you change your focus to another deity, but you still want to commemorate that first relationship or that particular relationship, you might set up a second altar. I have to be honest, I would probably curtail the first one then, if that's not my primary focus at the moment. So I would maybe put a few things on a shelf instead of having a table, which is what I think of as an altar, something specific, a piece of furniture specific for the purpose. I would probably just create a smaller shrine somewhere else on a shelf and then use the same altar for the new relationship that I'm suddenly working on and I'm being pulled toward. And I definitely think if a deity, if a god, a goddess, what have you, is approaching you and saying, hey, you need my help. Hey, you need my guidance. I pay attention. I listen. I develop that relationship. And so, of course, I might have some things that I want to take out when I am working with that deity. For me, it is a take out and put away type of situation, but that's just how I grew up in paganism. If you prefer to leave multiple altars around your space, I don't have a problem with that. I think it's a lot to dust personally, but it's a lot to keep nice. And I do think it should be kept nice and refreshed, especially if you're going to be leaving like a food offering. So my son has left several food offerings for my deceased partner and my son's parent. But I have to admit, depending on what the offering is, I do make sure it finds a second home at some point before it, rots or molds. You do want to do that. You can do that by eating the item, and I think that's not a bad thing to do. You've let them eat the spirit, and now you're going to eat the flesh, and it's a communion with that person or deity. But you also might want to make it as an offering under their favorite tree or in their favorite park, someplace where it won't necessarily attract rodents to your dwelling or someone else's, but where you can safely leave it to nourish the planet. And I don't think that's a bad choice either. So, lots of altars, lots of altar cloths. That's something else we're getting in, by the way, in that big order. There's a whole bunch of altar cloths. Tree of Life altar cloths, Flower of Life altar cloths, Pentacle, Triple Moon, Celtic. Ooh, so many. It should be a fun order. Chalices are also coming, by the way, from those guys. The stainless steel ones that we have carried in the past, they're decent sized. Sorry, they're popping into my brain. I just got to share. I am coming to the end of the time I have today, sadly, but I hope if you set up an altar that you don't get trapped into thinking I must have a certain amount of bling. Put on that altar the things that mean something to you, that you value about the relationship to the practice or the deities or the ancestors that you're working with within that confines of that altar space. Only add things that are purposeful. And if it can be aesthetically pleasing, that's a bonus, but I do think it's a bonus. I think it's more important that it be the things you really need to do the work you're going to do. And I hope that work brings you joy and just enough challenge to keep you growing as a person. That said, have a wonderful week. This is Liz from Magus Books and Herbs in Minneapolis and magusbooks.com, wishing you a wonderful week, telling you that the secret word is altar, and saying, blessed be.